watching it. You can watch your program as soon as I'm done. No, I want to watch mine, and I want to watch it right now. Well, Lucy, you're not in charge. Lucy goes, I have 5 friends that say that I am. Each one of them individually doesn't carry much weight. But when I close them together, they're an incredible force. Which channel would you like? And as Lucy turns away to change the channel, Linus turns his back to Lucy, looks at his own hand and says, why couldn't the 5 of you be that united? We need to be united in Christ. Together, we're probably not much of a force. Or one at a time, we're not much of a force. But you put us together, you unite us in Christ, and we've got everything going for us. So Jesus prays for his disciples. How many of you knew that before? Jesus prays for you. Good. For those of you that didn't raise your hand, that's okay. But just know now, he does. It says so right in John. I'm praying for those that you have given to me, and I'm praying for those who are hearing their message. So if you're doing the work of God, Jesus is praying for you. If you're out there in the world trying to build God's kingdom, Jesus is praying for you. And you can't have any better prayer partner than that. So the question comes up, why do we have a prayer chain at church? When a need comes in, why do I send you all an email and saying, this person needs prayer, could you pray for them right away? Do you think that's just for information? Maybe it's a Christian form of gossip, right? Ha, Gretchen told me this, so now here you go. This is what it is. No. It's not about that at all. In fact, you don't even have to lay out all of the details. You notice we don't ask for people's last name. We ask for their first name just because it's easier to pray for than Julie's sister who lives far away. We don't need all the details. But when we send that request out, we are Lucy's fingers coming together, being united in Christ, offering a challenge to the evil one, not letting him get a foothold. Now, this is important to remember. We don't change the course of God's history, but our prayers are part of that protection to keep the evil one at bay. We're helping create with God's help that environment that allows us to go out and allows God's work to be completed. Now you know as well as I do, this congregation has a huge number of answered prayers. Now this may be surprising. I would contend that we probably don't have any more answered prayers than many other congregations. But what we do have is we watch for them. How many of you think you can see the answer to God's prayers if you're not watching? When we lay out our prayers before God and we're looking for an answer, it's a whole lot different than if we lay out our prayers before God and say, okay, God, it's just up to you. Now I'm on my way. You're going to see the answer? No. It's important that we see the answer because it teaches us that sometimes I'm praying that the disease may be taken away, and instead God uses the disease to reach a whole floor of people in the hospital. Didn't get answered the way I thought it would. Just a bigger way, a better way. Sometimes God takes our suffering away. Sometimes God takes our suffering and he uses it for the building and the glory of his kingdom, for the strength of his people. So, around your tables and around your groups, I have a couple questions for you. Actually, just one, with a lot of parts. That's a preacher's tactic. I have a 3-point sermon. Each one of those has 6 parts. That way I can get into whatever I want to say. Here's your question. How do you hear the voice of God? Because that's part of the prayer we haven't talked about, isn't it? I want you to take just a couple minutes, and I want you around your table to share some of the ways that you've heard the voice of God. Could have been in a dream, could have been through your conscience, it could have been through some directed action, it could have been in a whole lot of ways. But I want you to share some way that you personally have heard the voice of God. Maybe you didn't even know that it was the voice of God, but it certainly gave you direction, and you did something you hadn't planned on doing, and it turned out in a marvelous way. Share that, and then I'm going to finish the sermon. So you've got about 5 minutes.